Bob Van Rossum with Market Pro, and we just had a candidate make the right decision. And by making the right decision, I mean they rejected a counteroffer. But we were worried for a little bit because they were showing some signs that they didn't think the rules applied to them. And the rule is a counteroffer is always a bad idea. It's a bad idea to give one. It's a bad idea to accept one. And the statistics back that up. But in this case, this individual had been with their employer for 15 years, was highly valued employee. They knew that the organization really liked them, really respected them, and wanted them there. And they're like, I have a great relationship with my boss. And I've been here 15 years. My boss has been here 10. We socialize outside the office. There's not going to be any harm to me if I accept a counteroffer. They won't view me as disloyal. And the reality is that's naive, because the reality is you were disloyal. If you went out and interviewed for another opportunity, took that through multiple rounds of interviews, and got to the point where you received an offer from another organization, they have to question, are you happy here? Is this somewhere you want to work? Because you showed them it's not. And ultimately, there's not much they can do from a counteroffer perspective that's going to change that. Meaning you have to remember, why were you looking in the first place? What was it that had you considering other opportunities? In this case, it was, look, I work for a great company, but it's grown and it's bigger. And there's a lot of bureaucracy now that wasn't here 15 years ago when I started. And I now sit in meetings for hours, and sometimes we don't accomplish anything, and I don't enjoy that. So that was this candidate's, this was this gentleman's frustration, right? And so we brought him into an opportunity where he got to shift industries, but it was adjacent. And he got to go be a CMO as opposed to number 2 marketing person. And he got to build something again, right? Great client, high growth story. In 7 years, they've gone to almost 600 employees, totally disrupting their industry. Totally disrupting their industry because they're doing things fundamentally different. The industry has some practices that are very old and outdated, and in marketing is one of those areas. So when we started talking to them about the CMO, they said, we're not really sure if we want to get somebody from our industry or not. We said, well, let's look at the pros and cons of each, but let's first really understand that your industry as a whole is not sophisticated from a marketing perspective. And here are some adjacent industries that we can pull somebody from which are really sophisticated. And this person's going to really fundamentally put you light years ahead of your competition. And that's the process we went down with them. So they were very excited about this individual. Now they go back and they get a counteroffer. Included in the counteroffer is a raise, right? And a promotion. But is it really a promotion? It's a change in title, but ultimately the job that they will be doing will be the same. So if they had thought enough of this candidate, our candidate, to give them a promotion and a raise, why didn't they do that proactively? Right? Why did it take the threat of resigning to get a promotion and a pay raise? And for our part, we were able to get them a very meaningful offer. Meaningful meaning it was a big pay raise. And that's not the goal. I'm not trying to get people big pay raises. I'm trying to give people fair market value for their skills, background, and experience. And I'm trying to get my client a great return on their investment. And in this case, because they had been in one place for 15 years, they were below market. And we got them to market. Now they went and got a counteroffer that brought them, I don't exactly know where the counteroffer came in. I'm assuming they matched it, but I don't know that. And now, why is that such a risk, right? Well, the statistics are there. And there's multiple studies. So I've seen it where it's 80% of people who accept a counteroffer are no longer with their employer in 6 months. I've seen 86% in 12, and I've seen 92% in 18. But it's very conservative to say, if you accept a counteroffer, there's an 80% or greater chance that you will no longer be with that employer inside of 12 months. And the reason for that is you've shown them that you're not loyal to the organization. You've shown them that there's something about the organization, something about your opportunity that you're not happy with, and you're a flight risk. And so did they make that counteroffer as a positive, great business practice, or did they make it as a reaction to, oh my gosh, we're gonna have a problem because this person adds value to the organization And we're now going to be without that. So that's going to create other disruptions. And the reality is that's not the right way to make decisions. So now let's look at what happens if and when you accept a counteroffer. And I've been doing this for 25 years. And I've placed well over 200 chief marketing officers. I've placed over 200 other senior level marketing roles that are not the CMO, right? They may report to the CMO. It could be the head of e-commerce, the head of digital, the head of product, PR, communications, brand, whatever. But it's all those roles are the areas that we work in. And only 3 times have I had a candidate accept an offer with our client and then turn around and accept a counteroffer. And every time they've called me back within 30 days and said, this is the dumbest thing I've ever done. And it's not complicated, right? You're going to go into work that next day thinking everything's great and you got a raise. But others around are going to know that you got a counteroffer, and others around are going to be wondering, do I need to do the same thing? Which is why it's such a bad business practice and such a culture killer. But your relationship with your boss is going to change. And I'll give you an example, right? We had a gentleman who worked at a big bank. This is 10 years ago. And we recruited him out to be a senior marketing executive at one of the top fintechs, the hot fintech at the time in the country. And he goes back and resigns, and he gets a counteroffer and calls me back and says, I've decided to accept the counteroffer. And the main reason is my wife thinks that my security is better at the bank than it would be at the fintech. And that's probably true if he hadn't resigned in the first place, that the security of the bank was pretty high. I mean, we checked his references. We understand through the interview process how he did in his performance reviews. This guy was an A player. Then he calls me and says, this is the dumbest thing I ever did. And is that opportunity still available? And the answer is no. Even if it was still available, I'm certainly not going to call my client after you've broken that trust and recommend that they reconsider you. Right? That would be that wouldn't be very smart from my perspective. And certainly the client's not going to consider you even if they haven't, right? So now he's in a situation where he's not included in meetings. He's telling me there are meetings that are meetings with marketing and other departments where senior executives are getting together to discuss organizational strategy. He was included before, now he's not. His relationship with his boss, who, remember, was different because I've got a really good relationship with this individual and I'm not worried about them questioning my loyalty. It's very much different. The tone's different. It's edgy. I'm not, having collegial meetings. It's just all performance and business, and I'm not looked at the same as I used to. And then fast forward, 7, 8, 9 months later, the bank has layoffs. And he gets called in and they basically just tell him, even though you were a top performer, even though your performance reviews have all been stellar, we're laying you off because we don't think you're going to be happy. We don't think you're happy here. You went out and looked for another job and we feel like there's somewhere else you want to be. And so we don't think we can count on you. So you're on the list of people to get laid off, even though you're a strong performer. And then flip to the other side of that, right? So at the bank, he had a base plus bonus. Now he's out of a job. Total career derailer. If he'd gone to the fintech, which back then was about $1 billion revenue company, and now today is a 12, 13, 14, $15 billion revenue company, he would have had base plus bonus plus stock. And that stock's gone through the roof. I mean, it was a multi-million-dollar decision in the wrong direction for this guy to accept that counteroffer. But every one of the 3 people that we placed that turned around and accepted a counteroffer in the 25 years I've been doing this, they were gone inside of 12 months. And it was not a positive change for their career. Now you can leave and go back and they'll never question your loyalty because now they know you saw that the grass wasn't greener on the other side and you decided to come back to the organization. And that can have huge positive impact because now they're like, hey, this person might just be the most loyal employee we've ever had or ever will have because they know what we have and they understand how good it is here. Whereas if you accept a counteroffer and you stay, they're always going to be wondering in the back of their mind, is he happy? Is she happy? Right? Are they looking again? Are they going to leave? How long will it take me to find their replacement? Certainly not someone that's up for promotions. Certainly not someone that is considered, the inner circle. You're not loyal.